You are listening to Aftersight. This recording is intended solely for individuals who are blind or have low vision.
Thank you for joining us for Audiobook News read by Sarah, featuring Audiophile Magazine. And today we're going to start off with an interview with Phuc Tran by Susie Wild. Phuc Tran's memoir, Sai Gone, and his picture book, Cranky, have, as he puts it, a shared DNA. Each has a playful tone with important underpinnings of Tran's experiences throughout 20 years of teaching teens and now raising 2 children. Nothing guts a kid more than when the important adults don't take them seriously, he says. In his own childhood, Tran often felt summarily dismissed. He found his viewpoint expanded while writing his memoir as he developed the portrait of a father who went from being a lawyer in Vietnam to working in a racist factory in Pennsylvania. He acknowledges that he, like many children, saw his parents as two-dimensional, but says that writing has helped him recognize the sacrifices his father made. There were other surprises, as Tran wrote. My goal was to delight myself first and foremost. I was going to write the thing that would make me laugh, or make me cry, or feel emotional. That was my way of making sure that my work was authentic to my voice. There were hard parts in both writing and narrating. I got choked up in the scene in which my father was getting bullied in the tire factory, and the acknowledgements were hard too, because I was so tired and emotional at the end of a book. Tran wonders if his memoir is too spicy for young adults, but the combination of his frank discussion of sexuality and the fight to fit in will certainly speak to this audience. As an adult, he's gained a sense of himself and his self-worth. His advice for adolescents seeking their places in the world? Find a place or space where you feel seen, valued, and understood. That's where you'll find strength and support. Tran realized it was important for the narrator of his memoir to pronounce Vietnamese words correctly. I had listened to some Vietnamese books, and the mispronunciations were as jarring as a needle screeching off a record. It felt inauthentic, and I thought if someone's narrating my true story, they have to nail it at every step. Additional mispronunciations of Pennsylvania's regionalisms and 80s terms led him to tell his agent, I think I need to do this myself. Her response? Okay, if you want to dig your own grave, that's fine. She was trying to prepare him for how challenging the audiobook recording process is, something he discovered for himself as he recorded 100 pages a day, sometimes 7 or 8 hours a day. It was tough, but the direction of Matti Agiropoulos was terrific. He hasn't listened to his own recording, but when it was nominated for an Audio Award, he thought, I guess I didn't mess it up. Generally, Tran reads rather than listens. In the fall, however, when he was doing a lot of travelling and his book club was reading Barbara Kingsolver's Demon Copperhead, he started with print, switched to audio, and never went back to the print. When audiobooks are at their best, they're their own work of art. Demon Copperhead is one of the best audiobooks I've heard in 10 years. It's an incredible book anyway, but the narrator, Charlie Thurston, is a pro. Just incredible. About the audio of Cranky, Tran says, I saw the narration as a way to involve more creative people, to have Cranky be a generative project. I'm not a trained narrator. I did the memoir because I had a checklist and kept crossing people off, and finally I was the only person who checked all the boxes. Tran's memoir ends with his intention to double major in literature and art in college. I bailed on both and majored in classical languages and literature, but his publication of 2 books and his successful tattoo business in Portland, Maine, means he's achieved both, though the process was a slow simmer. He built his skills as a tattoo artist in grad school and then taught and tattooed for 20 years. I was obsessed with both because they're both so hard and rewarding. Has he memorialized Cranky on his body? The book's new yet, he laughs, but he defines himself as a person who pretty much says yes to everything. So we'll see how it goes. It's not out of a question. And now for a review of Cranky by Phuc Tran, read by Jacob McNutt. Jacob McNutt has to get a bit cranky for this picture book featuring a crane named Cranky who builds a bridge with his friends Zippy, Wheezy, and Dumpchuck. Automotive wordplay adds a sense of fun to this story of Cranky's sour mood. McNutt captures Cranky's disposition at once as he testily snaps at the merry morning greetings of his friends. During lunch break, McNatt switches gears to convey Cranky's lonely and tired inner voice. His friend's cheerfulness is getting on his nerves. Later, he briefly shouts at his friends as they try to discern the cause of his bad mood and cheer him up. In the end, as good friends do, they realize that sometimes you're just cranky, and that's okay. It's available from Harper Audio, 6 minutes long, unabridged, recommended for ages 4 through 6. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-006-337-6816 for $2.99. And more listening from Phuc Tran is Psy Gone, a misfits memoir of great books, punk rock, and the fight to fit in, by Phuc Tran, read by Phuc Tran. Available unabridged from Macmillan Audio, trade edition digital download. And now for some more children and family listening titles. The Spirit Glass, Rick Riordan Presents, by Roshani Chokshi, read by Ferdeli Capistrano. Ferdeli Capistrano brings childlike wonder to her narration of this middle-grade novel featuring Filipino culture. Orphan 12-year-old Corazon lives a lonely yet magical life while she waits to learn of her powers. Her world will change forever if she successfully retrieves her precious soul key from a meddling ghost. Included are all the staples of a child on a hero's quest, as well as a cultural celebration of food and folklore, ancestral magic, and plenty of age-appropriate humor. Capistrano expertly assigns animated voices to all the right characters, the best of all being Corazon's gecko companion Sasso, who steals the spotlight with comedic timing and endearing one-liners. The choice not to include renowned children's author Rick Riordan's print introduction in this audiobook was a missed opportunity. It's available from Disney Hyperion, 8 hours long, unabridged, recommended for ages 8 and up. Trade edition digital download for $17.50. Treasure Island, Runaway Gold, by Jewel Parker Rhodes, read by Miles Harvey. Narrator Miles Harvey establishes an energetic voice for skateboard enthusiast Zane, who sets off for Manhattan with 2 of his friends and his dog. They're in search of treasure, using a map and clues left behind by a boarder and friend after her passing. Zane hopes the money will ensure that he and his mom can remain in their family home. Harvey smoothly navigates between adding excitement to the narration as the crew moves from place to place and creating a more serious tone as they learn about the forgotten and sometimes dark history of the city. Listeners will cheer Zane on in this coming-of-age story as he learns about the importance of true friendship and trust. It's available from Harper Audio, 6.75 hours long, unabridged, recommended for ages 10 and up. Trade edition, digital download, ISBN 978-006-333-5677 for $27.99. Sir Callie and the Dragon's Roost, by Esme Symes Smith, read by Danny Martinek and Esme Symes Smith. Narrator Danny Martinek creates a passionate and determined voice for Callie, who seeks to find true acceptance for themselves and their friends in a world that is reluctant to change. Just as their homeland, Helston, takes steps to offer magic and fighting opportunities to all, a battle with neighbouring Dunmore causes progress to halt, and even move backward. Martinek captures Callie's growing frustration as obstacles keep standing in the way of their happiness. Listeners are treated to an introduction read by author Esme Symes Smith, which adds a nice personal touch. Adventure fans and general listeners alike will enjoy this fantastical tale, which reflects the struggles for acceptance faced by so many in our own world. It's available from Listening Library, 10 hours long, unabridged, recommended for ages 8 and up. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-374-7520 for $25. Library edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-374-7537 for $63. The Shape of Time, Rimworld Arcana, Book 1, by Ryan Calejo, read by Rob Moreira. Rob Moreira will amaze listeners as the sole narrator of this audiobook, as he gives each character a unique voice. Anxious 14-year-old Antares lives with his aunt in Miami. His parents, who were cartographers, vanished long ago. One day, Antares encounters intergalactic strangers at school. Later, creatures leap out of a lightning bolt and kidnap him. Before he knows it, the Bermuda Triangle becomes his prison. Meeting mythological creatures and aliens shifts his worldview as he embarks upon an unforgettable journey. Moreira's impressive ability to manipulate his voice will leave a positive impression on listeners. In particular, he convincingly portrays female characters and speaks Spanish when necessary. Overall, his pacing and tone add excitement to this adventure. It's available from Recorded Books, 9 hours long, unabridged, recommended for ages 8 and up. Library Edition digital download, ISBN 979-889-0594532 for $24.49. Also available as CD or MP3. Where the Water Takes Us, by Alan Barilaro, read by Eunice Wong. The narrator, Eunice Wong, captures the beauty and pain of this magical coming-of-age story set on a Canadian island. Listeners meet 11-year-old Ava, who has been sent to her grandparents while her mother experiences a difficult pregnancy. Wong's sweet, sensitive Ava is worried despite her loving grandparents and the gorgeous setting of the island, replete with deer, birds, and water sports. The well-rendered characters come alive, including young Cody, whose joy and enthusiasm annoy Ava, who wants to be left alone to brood. After witnessing a bird's death, Ava becomes convinced she's cursed and must care for 2 orphaned robins to reverse her fate. Most relatable are Ava and Cody's encounters, and Wong's exceptional child and adult dialogue. Audio is essential for the evocative climax, which is both realistic and satisfying. It's available from Dreamscape, 3.5 hours long, unabridged, recommended for ages 8 and up. Trade Edition digital download, ISBN 978-166-6635-164 for $17.99. And now for some fiction titles. We Must Not Think of Ourselves, by Lauren Grodstein, read by Brad Griffith, Jesse Valinsky, Sharon Friedman, Amir Levy, and Rich Keeble. 5 remarkable narrators create an unforgettable portrait of a Warsaw ghetto during World War II. Brad Griffith provides the main narration as Adam Pascoe, a language and literature teacher who lost his beloved wife Kasia. After being relocated to the Warsaw Ghetto, he is recruited by the real-life Oneg Shabbat to document the history of the Jews there. Jesse Valinsky, Sharon Friedman, Amir Levy, and Rich Keeble create memorable portraits of a student's housemates and acquaintances Adam interviews. The narrators evoke an unimaginable world wherein Jews must sell their few possessions for food to supplement their meager rations. At any moment, Nazi officers can kill them for the slightest offense. Listeners will feel as though they are witnessing history. A must listen. It's available from Hachette Audio, 9 hours long, unabridged. Trade Edition, digital download, ISBN 978-166-866-28362 for $24.99. What Wild Women Do, by Karma Brown, read by Carissa Vacker and Hilary Huber. Carissa Vacker and Hilary Huber deliver excellent performances in this gripping audiobook. The story, set in the Adirondacks, evokes themes of empowerment, personal growth, and discovery as it depicts emotional insights and decade-spanning intrigue. Vacker voices failed screenwriter Rowan, who discovers a mysterious handbook that may have something to do with a woman who went missing in the woods. Huber voices Eddie, the rich girl hippie who started a women's retreat center nearby in the 1970s and then disappeared without a trace. Both narrators also voice other characters, building a distinctive set of characters that are easy to follow. Vacker's interpretations of Rowan's boyfriend, Seth, captures his nature. Most importantly, she illuminates Rowan's metamorphosis into an independent and creative woman. It's available from Penguin Audio, 9 hours long, unabridged. Trade Edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-378-6888 for $20. Books on Tape has the Library Edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-378-6895 for $76. The Glutton by A.K. Blakemore, read by Graham Halstead. Graham Halstead meets the complex narration challenge posed by this audiobook. His performance provides the perfect mix of empathy and horror. Blakemore's work is a deeply literary journey based on a real historical figure. In the time of the French Revolution, Tarare is forced out of his home. Eventually he joins a circus, where he becomes a freak attraction for his ability to eat high volumes of food, or anything else. Halstead's performance connects with literary prose that fleshes out the time and place and provides listeners with a kind of lyrical rhythm. His voice captures the beauty and heartbreak in this story's grotesque events. It's available from Simon & Schuster Audio, 11.25 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-179-7165646 for $23.99. After Annie by Anna Quinlan, read by Gilly Messer. Gilly Messer delivers a tender, emotional performance of a family in grief in this contemporary novel. When vibrant and funny Annie Brown suddenly dies, her young family struggles to adapt to life without her. Messer's pleasant, expressive voice lends itself well to the Brown family, as well as their friends and neighbours. She portrays children, adults, and the elderly with equal success. In the Brown household, teenage Ali attempts to keep everything running while her brothers are angry and confused, and widower Bill is shattered by grief. Annie's best friend, Anne-Marie, finds herself at a loss as to how to interact with the Browns and relapses into pill addiction. Quinlan's story of the complexities of grief is beautifully rendered by Messer's sympathetic narration. It's available from Random House Audio, 7.75 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-4030 for $22.50, also available as CD. Books on Tape has the library edition, digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-4047. I Am Not Sidney Poitier by Percival Everett, read by Amir Abdullah. Narrator Amir Abdullah is completely and blithely not Sidney Poitier in this paradoxical pretzel of an audio. Not Sidney's mother died when he was 11, leaving him with his nonsensical name and a fortune in Turner Broadcasting System stock. Abdullah illuminates his struggles as he grows to manhood with a flexible and highly stylized performance. As Not Sidney faces episodes of racism, classism, and sometimes outright rage as his confusing name and surprising background, Abdullah keeps the character grounded with the narration that is staccato and dryly witty. In contrast, the people around him often have exaggerated accents and wildly flamboyant vocal mannerisms that Abdullah tackles with flair. His version of Ted Turner, equal parts charm and baffling non sequiturs, is a standout. It's available from Tantra Media, 7.5 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 979-835-0860-429 for $19.99. Library edition digital download, ISBN 979-835-0860-436 for $47.95. And let's finish off with some mystery and suspense titles. The Night She Lied by Lucy Dawson, read by Rachel Atkins. Narrator Rachel Atkins is a gift. Her performance of Dawson's suspenseful psychological thriller will seep into listeners' consciousness, keeping them on the edge of their seats. Atkins' talents are showcased immediately in the opening scene, in which the protagonist, Jude, stands in a courtroom awaiting the jury's decision about her fate. Jude, an emergency room nurse who works on the night shift, is charged with the murder of a new suitor, Rick. He has a disturbing past with her mother, Margaret, a treacherous and miserable woman. Atkins moves the story with exquisite pacing and tone. She captures the character's weaknesses, Jude's vulnerability and naivete, Rick's trauma and despair, and Margaret's vicious narcissism. The partnership of Atkins and Dawson should be celebrated. It's available from Belinda Audio, 10.75 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-103-865-6766 for $24.99. Argylle by Ellie Conway, read by Dakota Blue Richards. In a crisp, clear voice, Dakota Blue Richards introduces listeners to the action-packed world of Aubrey Argylle. After the deaths of his globe-trotting parents, 20-something Argylle wanders the Thai jungle until his rescue of plane crash survivors brings him to the attention of the CIA. Argylle speaks multiple languages and has no attachments. In other words, he would be an ideal CIA agent. Under the brilliant CIA director Francis Coffey, Argylle and his team attempt to stop a Russian billionaire from becoming the right-wing leader of Russia. Richards narrates in a neutral American accent, reflecting the background of Argylle and his team. She excels in portraying Coffey, using steady pacing to highlight his calculating thoughts. Richards infuses her performance with the excitement of Argylle's mission. It's available from Random House Audio, 13.5 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-373-9969 for $22.50. Books on Tape has the library edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-373-9976 for $95. Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge by Lizzie Pook, read by Genevieve Gaunt. Genevieve Gaunt never disappoints as she delivers the rich tapestry of characters, locales, and motivations in Pook's shipboard thriller. In 1849, Maud's sister Constance escaped the stodginess of Victorian England by disguising herself as a boy and signing on to the Makepeace for an Arctic expedition. 2 years later, Maud learns that Constance died in a tragic accident, but after receiving Constance's diary, Maud suspects that expedition scientist Edison Stowe may have been involved. Maud follows in Constance's footsteps, disguising herself as a boy and joining the Makepeace to keep an eye on Stowe. Gaunt's delivery is impeccable as Arctic storms, killing cold, starvation, and disease threaten them all. She makes listeners feel Stowe's pathological connection to Bones and Maud's growing terror. Exciting listening. It's available from Simon & Schuster Audio, 9.5 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-179-717-6673 for $19.99. Moriarty, The Silent Order, Moriarty Book 2 by Charles Kindinger, read by Helen Mirren, Dominic Moynihan, Phil Lamar, and a full cast. Phil Lamar and Dominic Moynihan reprise their roles as Sherlock Holmes and his arch-rival, Professor James Moriarty, in the second installment of Kindinger's clever reimaginings of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's detective classics. 6 months after the action of the first book, The Devil's Game, the adversaries find themselves reluctantly joining forces along with the Baker Street irregulars and 2 strong-willed women. Portrayed with charming verve by Ariel Goldman and Anya Chalotra, the 2 women battle the diabolical master criminal Lady Milverton, who is portrayed with cunning glee by the wonderfully grand Dame Helen Mirren. Surrounded by lovely orchestrated interludes and cinematic background sounds, the intrepid crew takes on a world in which blackmail and assassination are the weapons of choice. It's available from Audible, 5.25 hours long. It's an audio program. Trade edition digital download for $14.95. And that's it for me for today. Thank you for joining us for Audiobook News, read by Sarah.